Welcome to another Intro to Java programming video. In this video, I want to talk about what the Measuring Distances project is going to look like. The Measuring Distances project requires you to use the J option pane, show input dialog, to allow the user to enter in a series of points. You're going to display two lines on the screen. You're going to calculate the distance between the start and end points of those lines, and you're going to outpoint the distances on the bottom and then determine which one is the longer line. This is what the project looks like before anything is done. So when it's first opened up, when the JFrame runs, it's going to pop up a input dialog. And I'm going to enter a value. It says enter the X origin of line 1. So I'm going to enter the X origin of line 1. I'm going to put it at 100. Enter the Y origin of line 1. I'm going to put it at 100. So the first point in line 1 is going to be at 100 and 100. Enter the ending point. So I have to enter the start point and the end point. I'm going to put the end point for X at 150. So it's going to be a diagonal line. And I'm going to go 400. And click OK. So my first line has been entered. Now I've got to enter the second line. X origin for line 2. I'm going to put my X origin for line 2 at 300. My Y origin for line 2 is going to be at 150. The end point for the X, I'm going to have it go back over to 45 for the X. And for the Y, I'm going to have it at 250. I'm going to click OK. And you can see my two lines are drawn. I drew them so that they would crisscross. And you can see that the points are labeled for each line. So this is point 1, line 1 is 100 is at 100, 100. Point 2, line 1 is at 150, 400. Point 2 or point 1, line 2 is 300, 150. Point 2, line 2 is at 45, 250. So it draws the lines after taking in all 8 values for the 4 points to draw those two lines. Then what it does is it outputs the distance down at the bottom. Line 1 distance, the length of the line 1 is 350. So from this point to this point, it's 350. Line 2 is 355. From this point to this point is 355. And then it says line 1 is longer than line 2. False. It's saying that it's not longer than line 2. This is what the project needs to look like. Some of the things that I see on this project when people get confused. One is they have somebody enter in the points for line 1, and then they do some calculations to automatically create line 2 parallel to it. So it allows you to only make 2 vertical lines or 2 horizontal lines or something like that. That's not the way it works. You have to allow the user to enter all 8 values for those 4 points. Start point, end point, start point, end point. 2 lines. 2 lines is 4 points. 4 points is 8 values for all your X's and Y's. Another thing that I see, which is a real head scratcher from time to time on this assignment, is people go back to the using variables videos that I showed. They just use that code where we learn how to draw boxes, and they submit that code where they're drawing boxes. I have no idea why they think that's acceptable, but it's not. Sometimes they even take that code and just translate that into lines, make those lines, and have an start and end point for line 1, and then use an X and Y shift value that the users enter. That's not what you're doing. What you need to do for this project is have the user enter X1, Y1, X2, Y2 for line 1, and then for line 2, X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Give those variables names that make sense. If I were to do this, I'm going to just call it dis2. I might make my variables named something like this. I might call it L1 X1 for line 1 X1, or I might call it line 1 X1, line 1 X2, line 1 Y1, line 1 Y2. Those are great variable names. They're super descriptive. I know exactly what to expect when I look at those variables. If you just give me something like A, B, C, and D, these are not descriptive variables. They're terrible identifier names. I don't know what the purpose of those variables are. They don't describe anything about the data. Part of the thing I'm going to grade you on in this project is your variable naming convention. So choose good names for your variables. You might also do line 2 x1, line 2 x2, line 2 y1, line 2 y2. Those are your variables. You might have a variable called distance that's of type double. I don't know what you're going to name these, but choose variable names that are clear, that are descriptive. Make sure you have enough variables to do the job. In this case, you're probably going to need 8 int variables to take in all the x's and y's for your 2 lines. This is just 1 line here. If you wanted 2 lines, maybe it's something like this. Line 2, line 2, line 2, line 2. All right, that's about it. So you're going to make this application that's going to draw your 2 lines and going to calculate the distances and tell us which one is longer. Thanks for watching.